I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and welcome to our podcast, For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to our podcasts, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Are you suffering needlessly? Dr. Joe can give you advice on how to naturally get well and stay well. Dr. Joe Esposito.
What we're talking about today, we're going to talk about your house, because I've been beating this COVID thing to death almost, and I've covered so many topics, and if you want more information, we've covered it so much on the website, drjoe.com, and we've covered a lot of nutrition. Of course, we talk about food and supplements and things you can do to take care of yourself from a nutritional standpoint, but I also want to talk about your environment today. Because your environment is very important, because even if we're eating a good diet, if we're in a toxic environment or a toxic relationship, that can be very unhealthy for us. We're not going to cover relationships today. We're going to cover the environment. So the things that you're surrounded by, your workplace, your car, your house, your bed sheets, all these things can be toxic or they can be healthy. You have the choice. And so we're going to talk about what options there are for you, because you need to know this. And so we're probably going to brush on nutrition because for some reason I just can't get away from that. But these are things you need to consider around your house. First, let's talk about your kitchen, how to make your kitchen healthier. If you have a gas top stove, and I do, and I love cooking with gas, I'm very, very happy with that. Gas top stoves raise the indoor nitrogen dioxide levels. So when gas is burning off, there's a waste product. You probably never thought about your own stove having a waste product. But this chemical can irritate breathing passages, especially with kids. So if you have babies around the house or even small animals, this can be a big issue. Induction cooking works. You can use that if you wanted to. That doesn't put any chemicals, of course, in your air at home. And the smooth surfaces are easy to clean. I do like that. They have now the heat up instantly and shut off instantly, because the old days, the induction took a long time to heat up, long time to shut down. So it's come a long way. I still, I guess I'm old school. I still like cooking with gas. If you do, I want you to make sure that you ventilate. I have really high ceilings in my kitchen, so any of the toxic chemicals go up to the ceiling. Now, if I can, even if it's in the winter, if it's at all possible, I like to open my windows because I cook a lot. And like even last night, I made some split pea soup. I put it in a crock pot, and I put it out on my porch. I have an enclosed porch. And I put the soup out there. But this morning when I wake up, of course, the air will get into my house, and I could smell it. And so I got to remember it's out there, and then I got to take it out of the crock pot and refrigerate it. Really good batch today, too. So I made a split pea soup last night. And I put it outside, which was great. But if I'm using the gas, I try to open the doors, and I've got high ceilings, so I try to ventilate the best I possibly can. Put a fan on if you can. So whenever your oven is gas, whether it's gas or electric, cooking at high temperatures can put harmful fumes into the house. So that smell of food cooking is great, but if you fry things, which you shouldn't, but if you fry things, that can create toxic chemicals into the air. So well-ventilated kitchen is really important. So if you're looking to buy a house, consider that. And that's one of the things I'm concerned with this tiny house craze. It's kind of fading now, but for a while there, everybody was into tiny houses. Not everybody, and if you ever were in some, I remember going to a show one time and in the thing, and boy, I mean, you could literally put your arms out and touch the walls. And I get the concept. You know, less is great. You don't need a whole lot. You need a place to sleep, place to cook, bathroom. It was a great idea, but the problem is that if anything gets into that house, there's not a lot of ventilation. So well-ventilated kitchen, really important. Use your range hood fan, open a window, flip on a ceiling fan, especially if you're cooking at high temperatures, even in your oven, because that can release gases into the air. Personally, I just like opening the windows, and I don't mind it cold. I know some people like it a little warmer than others, but I like it cold, and especially if I'm moving around, I'll even put a floor heater at my feet just to keep it going. If I'm moving around in the kitchen, I'm going to get hot anyway. But ventilation is really important. And that became a big issue way back when we started building high-rises that you couldn't open the windows in, buildings especially. And there was a big movement, and I remember reporting on this, 20 years ago or something like that, sick building syndrome. Because it was so sealed up, and it was hermetically sealed, that you couldn't get fresh air in. So you're recirculating a lot of toxic air, and that became a big issue, and people getting sick just going to work. Now, there's other things in your house that need ventilation. We're going to cover that a little later. Carpets, type of flooring you use, paint. So there's other things, cleaning products, that you got to make sure you have good ventilation anyway. So I am a big fan of opening windows every chance you possibly can. If you use nonstick cookware, this becomes an issue. The coatings on nonstick cookware may contain chemicals that can raise the risk of some types of cancer and thyroid and immune problems. Who would have ever thought? Now, I remember having a story one time with somebody I worked with, I think it was, a long time ago. He had just bought some new birds. He loved exotic birds. He bought some new birds, had them in a kitchen, and he bought some new pots and pans. These were magical pots that don't stick, things slide right off them. And he was cooking in them, and he came back into the kitchen, and the birds were dead. So you may have heard the phrase canary in a coal mine. If you don't know what that means, because some of you may be too young for that, miners used to take birds or canaries in a cage into the coal mine with them. And the birds were much more sensitive to toxic chemicals. So if the bird died in the cage, the miners knew that the air was toxic and they had to get the heck out of there. So that's what happened with my friend, unfortunately. Somebody I worked with, that's right, somebody at the radio station. And so he was cooking and the birds got, I think they died or they got sick, either way. But it was not a good thing because the high temperatures release harmful substances in the air that then you or your pets or your birds can breathe. And that's not a good thing either. So if you're going to use a nonstick pan, don't use really high heats. You might want to reserve that for a little like a medium type heat. If you have a scratch in them, I want you to throw them away. Don't give them away, throw them away. If they scratch, that means that those little flakes of chemicals are getting into your food. If you're going to use something that's nonstick, and I like cooking, I get it, cast iron works really well. If you've never used cast iron pans, they're different. It's kind of unique. You don't really wash them. You take when you get new ones, and make sure, by the way, you get cast iron made in the United States. If it's made overseas, it can have toxic chemicals in it. So you have to season the pan. And if you don't know what that means, you take some oil, I use coconut oil, and you rub it on the pan, and you put it in the oven about 250 degrees, and you bake it for like a half hour, 45 minutes, and the oil will infuse into the cast iron. And then when you clean it, you just kind of wipe it out and let it dry because cast iron will rust. If you use soap and water on it, you have to re-season it. And then it becomes naturally nonstick. You can use glass. Glass works really well. I love baking with glass. That's really good. Cast iron, we said. Stainless steel is okay. I have stainless steel pots as well. So if you're going to cook something at a high temperature, I don't like those nonstick coatings. Now, they say the new ones are fine and they don't have problems, but they said that about the other ones when they first came out too. And when the other ones came out before that, the other generation before that, they're all fine. And I remember I had a professor one time. He said it's never a problem until it's a problem, and then it's a problem. And the first time he said it, I thought, that's stupid. And then I broke it down, and I thought, yeah, you could be doing things all along. You could be speeding every time you drive, and you never get caught. Well, it's not a problem until you get caught. Then it's a problem. And so the same thing with a lot of these health issues that we come across with people. You know what, Doc, I've been smoking for years now, and I don't have lung cancer yet. And then suddenly they get sick. They can't figure out where it came from. COVID is there it goes. It came out. COVID's a perfect example. I'm pretty healthy. I eat a bad diet. I have high blood pressure. I'm obese. I have heart disease. It's not that big a deal. Then suddenly something comes along like COVID, and the hospitals are full of people. 94% of people that die of COVID are dying because they have a nutritionally caused comorbidity. So your diet, according to statistics, has a direct effect on 94% of the people dying from COVID. And yet, I don't even watch the news anymore. I gave up on the news because everything was COVID, election, and I just got too stressed out. I had to stop. I've yet to hear anyone, I think once I heard one quick story about vitamin D in England or something like that. Why are we not pushing comorbidities? Comorbidities are the reason people are dying. And then they get the COVID. I'm not making light of this COVID. Please understand that. But I am saying if we address the comorbidities, the chances of you getting dying from COVID or even getting very sick from COVID are extremely low. So we should be addressing the comorbidities and getting to the cause of the problem, not just treating the symptom. Okay, COVID is a big issue. I'm not making light of it, but there are things that you can be doing every single day. And it was interesting. I was on a show, as a matter of fact, last night. I'm a guest on a lot of other shows. And I was a guest on a show last night, and we want to talk about detoxification, how your body detoxifies. And the host, my friend Shelly, bought these juices. He bought 2 gallons of juice that was a detox. And then his co-host, Milani Kai, was making fun of him because he had these juices and he's going to do this juice, he's going to detox, and then he's drinking coffee and he's smoking cigarettes and he's doing a detox. And so we kind of picked on him a lot because that's what we do in our business. We pick on each other. And the point is that he was treating one issue, but then kept throwing bad stuff at it, with coffee and the cigarettes and his bad diet, but he was doing a detox. So they said, when should you do a detox was the question. And my answer was, every day, every meal, everything you put in your mouth, I want you to consider, is this going to be good for me or is this going to be bad for me? And if it's not good for you, don't put it in your mouth. It's very simple. So when do you detox? Every day, every meal. That's when you detox. Then you don't have to do a big full-blown detox. It's okay to do it. I'm not against it. But I want you to understand that this is a lifestyle. You do it all the time. I don't want you to be a little healthy. I want you to be a lot healthy. I don't want you to be a little pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. You're either healthy or you're not. I want you to get healthy all the way across the board. I'm a big fan of water filters. I have a whole house water filter in my house. I think I talked about this maybe even last week. And I've had people come to my house and say, this stuff is amazing. Your water tastes so good. And I said, what does it taste like? They said, nothing. There's the key. It tastes like nothing. And they love that. One of my friends said, I don't drink soda anymore. I just love coming to your house and drinking water. Because I have a whole house water filter. Because in our water, yes, we do a very good job in our society, in our country, filtering water, preventing mass outbreaks of disease, and I think it's great. I want to go to the next level. I remember I knew a gal one time, and she said, moderation is for monks. And moderation is for monks. I don't want you to have moderate health. I want you to have extreme health. And so these are the things I'm giving you. I used to do a lecture. It's called Brown Belt Nutrition. And if you want to do this, it's brown belt. Then if you want to go to black belt nutrition, this is what you do. So today we're talking about black belt health. Well, that's a good idea. I like the title for the show, Black Belt Health. How to get to a higher level. And water filter is one of those things that I think everybody should have. Some water sources have unhealthy chemicals and metals in them. Yes, it's legal. Yes, it's not going to kill you immediately. But again, I want you to get extreme health out of this. So a filtration system reduces a lot of contaminants. Point of entry system is the kind I have. As soon as the water comes in from the street into my house, I've got this water filter. It's about 4 feet tall. It's got several stages in it, and it filters out everything. And not just the water I drink. If I'm taking a shower, one shower, a hot shower, you can absorb as much chlorine as drinking 8 glasses of water. Because when you take a hot shower, your pores open. When the pores open, chlorine can get into your system. Chlorine kills what? Bacteria. We put it in a pool, we put it in a hot tub, kills bacteria. There's a problem. We are mostly bacteria. We have exponentially more bacteria cells in our body than we have human cells. So if you're putting chlorine on your body, in your body, you can be killing off good bacteria as well as bad bacteria. And when it comes to the immune system, about 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your colon. That's where the bacteria is. It's called the flora. So if you're drinking chlorinated water, you're killing off the bacteria in your colon. Not a good idea, because that can weaken the immune system. And ultimately, if you keep killing off the bacteria with multiple levels, multiple ways of doing it, you can develop something called a systemic yeast infection. The heck is that? In your colon, you have bacteria and you have yeast, and they live and they hang out and they fight each other for food. And if the bacteria start to die off, the yeast don't have any competition. So now the yeast start to multiply. They make little baby yeasts. And eventually that yeast says, I don't like it here in the colon. I want to go somewhere fun. So it can get into your blood system. It's called leaky gut. It can burrow a hole essentially into your small intestine, get into your blood system, and then travel through the body. So it can set up shop in warm, moist places. So where would be some warm, moist places on your body? Your feet, toenails, under your arms, vagina, jock itch, the rectum, scalp. I had a question the other day about dandruff. Dandruff is usually a systemic yeast infection or related to a systemic yeast infection. So if you're doing something as innocent as chlorine, you're doing something as innocent as spraying weed killer, glyphosate. Glyphosate acts as an antibacterial as well and kills off the bacteria. You want to try to avoid that the best you possibly can. If you're showering, you don't want to absorb water, chlorine in the body. Toilet water, tub water, if it's just sitting there, it's releasing chlorine gas into the air. So I prefer, again, if we're going for black belt health, you get a water filter. I use a company called Pure Life Georgia, purelifega.com is their website. I searched around a lot. They have a pretty good product. That's the one I have in my house. If you do order one from them, just tell them I sent you. Get a little extra special treatment because they like me. So water filters, I think, are really important, and I think you should have them at least have an under sink one for the water you wash your fruits and vegetables with, and the water you drink. There's shower ones. In fact, I have one sitting at my. I bought one, and then I bought this whole house water filter, so I still have the shower filter. That's another thing you can put up, at least something to filter out the toxins. Now, there's a little pitcher ones. They're okay. They're a step up from tap water. But again, the whole house water filter is going to be your best bet. So they're okay. Anything is better than nothing. Again, I'm not against tap water. I'm saying we're going for black belt health now. The way you store things is really important, especially in your refrigerator or your freezer, the way you store foods. I don't recommend you use plastic unless you're using something that's cold. Like, for example, the other day I made some baked potatoes, of course organic. And they were cool. I didn't eat them all, so they were cooled. And so what I do with them, I had a plastic container. They were already cold. I put them in a plastic container, put it in the refrigerator. No big deal. I made soup yesterday. So the soup was done. It was still warm. I always store it in glass. If I freeze anything, I like to freeze it in glass. Because as it freezes, it expands, and it can scratch any plastic that it's in, and it can release toxic chemicals. These toxic chemicals, like bisphenol A, I haven't talked about BPA in a while. Bisphenol A is a chemical in plastic containers. It can harm the brain of babies and children and raise BPA levels, which can be a hormone disruptor in adults. So, store things in glass. Well, Dr. Joe, I don't want to go out and buy a bunch of glass containers. That's fine. Whenever you buy something in a glass jar, save it. I have a problem. I got to confess to you. It's Confessions with Dr. Joe. If you listen to my Sunday night show, you know what that means. Confessions with Dr. Joe. I save way too many glass jars. And every now and then I have to do a rage, and I go through my pantry and I go, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need that, and I throw them out. But if I have a big jar with a big opening, I like it. And I've got a special funnel that even makes the jar even wider. It's used for if you canning foods. It's just a metal funnel, and it works really well, actually, because then you can put things in your jars. So save your glass jars. When you have too many of them, then you can throw them away. If the lid gets rusty, throw it away, or at least put plastic between, like a plastic wrap. Again, not if it's hot, though. You don't want to do that. So plastic wrap on the top so you don't get the rust in there. So I have a big issue with glass jars. I save them. I grew up really poor, extremely poor. My father was disabled. We grew up in Hoboken, New Jersey, in a little apartment, and we saved everything. There was nothing that went to waste. Plastic bags, if vegetables or something came in a plastic bag, we saved it. Paper bags, we saved. My mother tells the story when she was young, because my grandparents were immigrants from Germany, my mother's parents. They would go to the grocery store, and the paper that they'd wrap like pears in and apples, that little tissue paper and stuff, my grandfather would collect it up and they'd use it as toilet paper. And I remember my grandparents, they were extremely poor. They were immigrants. They put water in the sink in the bathroom in the morning and washed their hands in it all day. That is not a good idea. That's a very bad idea, actually. But it saved water. And we did everything we possibly could to save money because, again, my father was disabled. We lived on very little income. So saving everything becomes natural to me, and sometimes it's to an extreme. And so I got to somehow, every now and then, take a breath, Plastic storage containers, again, I don't like them. Don't put things in a microwave. I recommend you don't use your microwave. I have a microwave. The only time I ever use it is I put my sponge in there, sometimes at the end of the day, because it kills viruses, germs, and bacteria. That's how toxic the microwave is. And if I have to heat up a hot pack, if I have an injury or something, I have a hot pack I can throw in there and heat it up. That's probably the only time you should ever use a microwave. I am not a fan of microwaves. They change the molecular structure of the food. I've read pros and cons. Yeah, it's fine. No, it's not. I'm not willing to take that chance. I believe that if you're taking something and sending microwave energy into it, it's going to change the molecular structure. So I'm not a fan of that. So if you have a microwave, don't use it. If you do use it, don't. But if you still use it, don't. But if you still use it, glass only. Don't put plastic wrap on top of it. Don't put plastic containers in there. I remember being at the station one day, and a friend of mine was having spaghetti for lunch, and it was in a plastic container. And I said to her, I won't say her name because she's very famous. And I said, she goes, "This okay?" And I said, well, A, you shouldn't be eating that much wheat or pasta anyway for lunch. You should be eating fruits and vegetables. But B, I certainly wouldn't microwave it in a plastic. I'd rather just see you eat it cold than put it in a microwave. And I explained to her the hormone disrupting chemicals like bisphenol A. And she said, oh, I didn't know that. And she ate it cold. So hopefully we taught her a little something there. But don't use microwaves if you can avoid them. Again, what we're talking about today is black belt health. things that you can do around your house, not necessarily nutritionally, but things you can do around your house to help get you reach a higher level of healthcare. And I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, if you're just joining us, by the way. Cutting boards, boy, they can be a breeding ground for a lot of problems. If you eat meat, which you shouldn't, but if you still eat meat, I recommend you have 2 separate cutting boards, one for vegetables, one for meat. The one with the meat, I want you to bleach it. A little bit of water, like maybe a tablespoon of bleach in about a gallon of water, not a whole lot. Now here, what am I telling you? Add chlorine to your already chlorinated water because it'll kill bacteria. Wooden cutting board's not a good idea if you're using something like meat. You want to use a non-porous cutting board like glass. Glass is a good idea. Plastic, not a good idea because you scratch it. So I'm not a big fan of plastic cutting boards. Glass would be better than wood. Ceramic would be okay, and I'm not a big fan of plastic. If you can avoid it, please do. If you're going to use wooden cutting boards, just make sure you put it, you clean it, put it in a dishwasher. This way the heat can kill any viruses, germs, or bacteria. But you can really spread a lot of disease with raw meat, which is another reason why you shouldn't be eating meat. Paper towels, probably a better choice over cloth. I like cloth personally, but you got to wash them. Just wash them a lot in hot water. Make sure I wash almost all my clothes in hot water, except my dress shirts. Everything else I wash in hot water, especially your underwear. If your underwear are touching parts of your body, that may not be the cleanest part, and you want to put it in hot water, and so you can kill any viruses, germs, and bacteria that are on there. So even if it says, washing cold water, that should be an exception, not the rule, because hot water is going to be a better choice. It'll kill off viruses, germs, bacteria. Your bed sheets, your towels, your rugs, hot water. Underwear, hot water. Because, again, it's just another way you can start spreading disease, and especially now, time of people worried about diseases, nobody really talks about that. So hot water, I use non-scented soaps, clothes soap. The scented ones can have hormone-disrupting chemicals in them, parabens, phthalates, and these are hormone-disrupting chemicals. So there's a lot of natural soaps you can use, folks. I prefer it. I don't like the smell of somebody that smells like clothes soap or smells like dryer sheets. Perfumes, I am not a fan. In fact, I was pumping gas this morning in my car, and the lady a pump away, I don't know how much perfume she had, but holy cow, did she stink. Or stank? She stank? I don't know. I don't know what the right word is there. She stank. And I got in my car. It was in my car. I had to open the windows. And I was like, how much perfume is this person wearing? Perfume is an endocrine disruptor. It messes with your hormones. So what we're talking about today is black belt health. Things that are beyond nutrition. Things that you can do to keep yourselves healthy. So if you don't know who we are, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management. I'm double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. Been in practice 35 years. I've missed a half a day of work in 35 years. Patients travel from all over the world to come see us because we try to get to the cause of their healthcare problems, not just treat the symptoms. So if you have a healthcare problem, back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, chiropractic is by far the most effective, least expensive treatment for most back pains. So if you want to make an appointment for pain, you can do it right on the website, drjoe.com. If you have other issues, digestive issues, hormone issues, nutritional issues, acid reflux, heartburn, foot pain, whatever it is, go to our website, drjoe.com. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a thing that says services. Hover over that tab and drop down. You'll see all the services we offer. So drjoe.com. If you have any questions, our website is available 24 hours a day. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to For the Health of It. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, and I'll help you naturally get well and stay well. You can also listen to and call into my radio show live Sunday evenings from 7 to 9 Eastern Time on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app.